Okay, hey guys, Courtney Sykes here from Southeastern Aesthetics Institute. Welcome to the classroom. Today we are going to showcase our nail technology practical for you from start to finish. So whether you are a licensee looking to take your exam in South Carolina, or a student of ours, or a YouTube follower of ours, as well as an alumni that's looking to take that exam, definitely take a peek, watch, and this will make you feel a lot better about taking that South Carolina practical exam for nail technology.
Hi, my name is Chantilly Tootle, and today I will be going over the South Carolina State Board Practical Examination, domains 1 through 4, for the nail technology program. So the main thing that you want to pay attention to is that you're following all sanitation and infection control procedures. That's what they really want to see for State Board. So for our first, we have 7 domains total for the nail technology program. The first domain will be the work area and client preparation and setup of your supplies. Your manicure and polish application will be your second domain. Your third domain will be setting up for your next client. And the fourth domain will be nail tip application and blending. The fifth domain is sculpture nails. And the sixth domain is removal of sculpture nails. And seventh is the blood exposure procedure. As I stated before, I'll be doing 1 through 4. So for the first domain, you're gonna have to set up for your supplies. You're gonna have your kit. I recommend that you first put your sanitizer out and your disinfectant wipes. They have to be EPA registered disinfectant wipes. And we're gonna sanitize our hands first before we start anything. And then we'll take out our work gloves because we have to use our gloves before we use our disinfectant wipes for protection. So our gloves is a form of PPE, our personal protective equipment. And then we're gonna reseal our bag for our gloves. Then you'll be fully expected to wipe down your workstation with your EPA registered disinfectant wipes. Your wipes have to be bactericidal, fungicidal, and virucidal. The EPA registered wipes have to be in the original container and have all the original labels. So that is our EPA wipes here. So we're gonna wipe down our workstation for approximately 2 minutes. You don't want to rush any of this process. You want to make sure that you're taking your deep breaths, remembering everything that you were taught in school, and following all the safety and sanitation protocols appropriately. And you also have to set up your 3 bags. You have 3 bags, and all your bags have to be labeled on each side, and you'll put that underneath your table. You have a bag that says trash. There's a bag to be disinfected and a soil linens bag. Each time you go into your container, you're going to make sure that you close your container lid back. Okay, and they're going to be looking to make sure you dispose of everything in the proper bag. Okay, so what we're going to do is going to put our wipe in our trash bag. So this is our first bag, and it'll be labeled on all 4 sides, and it has to be lined. So all of your bags, you're going to sit it under the table and set that up for yourself to be able to work. It's very important anytime you go to any bag, you want to sanitize your hands again to show the board that you know how to follow all the sanitation and protocol procedures. This is my to-be disinfected bag with the liner. So for this domain, setting up for your workspace for your client, you have 10 minutes. They're gonna read the instruction twice to you. So do not zone out. Make sure you're paying attention and listening and follow all instructions from your proctor. So I have that clean. So now I'm gonna take another wipe because I have my bag out of gloves and I have my sanitizer out and my EPA registered wipes. I'm gonna wipe this down to show them that I cleaned all of that too. This is going to be part of your universal supplies, your EPA registered wipes, your sanitizer, and your gloves also. So now I'm going to proceed to put this in the trash, and I'm going to sanitize my hand again because anytime you touch any of the 3 bags, you want to sanitize your hands just to make sure that you're demonstrating that you're going into a different container. So we're going to go back into this container, and we're going to get everything we need out for our first service, which is going to be that manicure. So I suggest you put everything in one bag so you can easily assess it. We also have our water as a part of our universal supplies that we're going to need for our manicure. And then you're going to also put out your paper towels and your mannequin hand. So your mannequin hand for state board, it has to be non-removable digits, and you have to have the hand prepped prior to coming to. So you have to have some type of form of fingernails or something on it already. This one, we applied acrylic for it. So I'm gonna go ahead and set up. This paper towel is gonna simulate a towel for use for my client. And I'm gonna go ahead and set everything up as I'm gonna need it. You wanna make sure you're setting up aseptically. That means that you're gonna keep everything from being contaminated. So for the manicure portion, you will need a finger bowl, you'll need a fingernail clipper, you'll need your nippers, you'll need a nail brush, and a cuticle pusher, okay? So we'll just put this in the trash and we're gonna sanitize our hands again. And then we're just gonna set this workstation up aseptically by covering this with another towel. So anytime that you're finished, you're going to show the proctor you're finished by turning your hand towards them or just sitting back from your seated position. So you have 10 minutes to set up for your work client, your first client that you're going to work on. And we set up our universal supplies and we have set up for our manicure. And then now we'll proceed to the next step. So we've already set up for our first client. That's our first domain already complete, and we had 10 minutes to complete that section. Now we're gonna move on to the second domain, which is manicure and polish. So what the proctor will do, and you'll have 20 minutes to complete the manicure and polish portion of this exam. So firstly, the proctor will read the instructions. They will say, you will perform a manicure and polish application. You'll be expected to follow all client protection, safety, and infection control procedures. You will have 20 minutes to complete this section. You'll be informed when you have 10 minutes remaining. Turn the hand toward the examiner to indicate you have finished. The instructions will be repeated. You will perform a manicure and polish application. You will be expected to follow all client protection, safety, and infection control procedures. You will have 20 minutes to complete this section. You will be informed when you have 10 minutes remaining. Turn the hand towards the examiner to indicate you have finished. You may begin. So once they say you may begin, you always wait until they tell you you can begin. Once they say you may begin, then you can proceed on to perform the actual service domain. So I'm going to sanitize my hands. That's always the first thing you're going to do before you start a new domain, okay? So now we can get rid of what we used to aseptically set up for our manicure. So the first thing you want to do, I touch the trash. I'm going to sanitize my hands again. And before you do the client, they're going to want to see different things for you for the manicure. So what they're looking for on the manicure is they're going to make sure that you sanitize your hands. They're going to make sure you sanitize the client's hand. Treat your mannequin hand just like it's a client. You want to prevent infection. So you want to sanitize your client's hands. We already sanitized ours. So we're going to sanitize this client's hands. All right. Then we're going to do an analysis of the skin and the nails. So the skin on the hands to make sure there's no contraindications. And contraindications mean that we're going to have to modify the client's service or we will not perform the service and they need to be recommended to a physician because maybe there is some type of nail condition or disorder or disease that's present on the client's nails. So I've done my skin inspection, my skin analysis and nail analysis. Now I'm going to take my water and put it in my finger bowl. And I'm also going to put some cleanser in this. So once I've applied my cleanser, I'm going to sit my client's hand in the finger bowl. And this is showing that we're soaking and cleaning the hands. So we're sitting here, we're soaking the hands. And then you can also have a towel that you utilize, or you can use your paper towels as a towel. So we're going to take a towel here. We're going to show that we're going to dry the client's hands off before we start to actually work on the client's hands. I'll put that in the trash. I'm going to sanitize my hands because I went into the trash. Okay, so now we're going to cut the free edge of the client's nails and shape it. We're going to clip it with our nail clippers. So when you're prepping your hand, you want to leave a little bit of space where you have some free edge so you can actually cut some free edge off. And once you do that, then you're going to file the client's nails with a file. I'm going to go sanitize my hands and get my file bag. So I have my file out as my universal kit as well. So you can have some extra files out too. Make sure you always close the lid back to your container or any kind of bag that you have out on the table. All right, so we're going to actually use the file to shape the free edge to whatever desired shape that the client wants. Here you can do whatever you want because the client's not going to tell you. So once we got that all shaped, then now we're going to apply our cuticle softener. You never want to touch it on the actual client's skin. So you can put that on your wooden stick and then apply that. So then we're going to push the cuticle back so we can remove it with our nippers. They're going to be taking note that you're doing all of this sanitarily with your client's safety in mind and your safety as well. So I push that cuticle back. Then I'm going to take my nippers. Then I'm going to make sure I clean under the free edge of the client's nails with my wooden pusher. I'm going to go in this bag and get my buffer out. I'm going to reseal the bag. And now we're going to buff the client's nails. We don't want to clutter our workspace. So we're going to put that in the trash and sanitize, as I stated before. I'm going to buff this client's nails for the manicure. Just making sure it's smooth and even across the surface. Once we did that, we're going to apply our cuticle oil. Taking care not to touch the nozzle of your cuticle oil. And then we're applying the cuticle oil to the client's nails. Okay, so now we're going to move on. We've done the manicure for the most part. We're going to go on. We put our cuticle oil on just now after we buffed the client's nail. And now we're going to do the massage portion for the client. You're just going to make sure that you maintain contact with the client's hand at all times. And you can do different massage techniques, okay? You can do the netting. You can do Tapotement. And you can also do friction as a massage as well. And pesticide as well. So once we do that, we're going to take either a towel or a paper towel to remove the remainder of the massage medium off of the client. And then we're going to dehydrate the nail. Okay, we're going to put that in the trash and sanitize our hands. Then we're going to take our nail dehydrator and dehydrate the nails so that we can make sure that the polish would adhere to the client's nail plate. So for the polish application, we have three different types of polish. We have our base coat. We'll put one layer of that. We have our red polish that we're going to polish with, and we'll put two coats of that, and then we'll put our top coat. So you're going to allow 3 to 5 minutes between each coat to allow it time to dry, because they will be looking at your final application to make sure that you don't have polish all over the client's skin, and that is even and not like see-through in any spots. So, like I said, you're going to have 20 minutes to perform this manicure. So, don't be in a rush. The thing that normally takes us a while is the cuticle removal, but as this is a mannequin hand, we don't really have cuticle to actually remove. So, you're just going to actually touch the client with the nippers as I demonstrated before and remove the cuticle. You do not want to fan the client's hand because you could be kicking up dirt and debris and other pathogens that could be harmful to your client. So, we're just going to let it just dry. We don't have a fan here or any type of electronics during state board. So, we're just going to let it air dry the base coat, and then like I said before, we'll be doing our color coat, and that's two coats of that, and then one top coat. So we've applied our base coat and it has fully dried, and now we're going to move on to applying our color coat. You want to make sure that your polish is not dripping off the bristles, and wipe on the inner side. Okay, then you're going to polish. So what they're going to be looking for is that you actually cover the entire nail plate. In the finished look, they're going to be making sure you don't have nail polish all over the client's skin. So that's why you should keep your polish remover as a part of your universal supplies. And make sure you're capping when you polish. That just means going along the top of the free edge. So they're just going to be looking to make sure the entire nail plate is polished completely. And like I said, that you don't have polish all over the client's skin. If you do get polish on the client's skin, you could just remove that with your polish remover. So it might be handy to also have you some lint-free wipes out, or maybe bring some Q-tips as well. It can help you for easy cleanup. You can have that as a part of your universal supplies. So before you start to let this dry, you're just going to go and make sure you have all parts covered. And you can save the cleaning until the end till you do your second coat, so you don't have to go back over it twice. So we're just going to just let this dry for 3 to 5 minutes before we apply our second color coat. Okay, so we waited our 3 to 5 minutes for that top first coat of our color coat to dry. Now we're going to polish our second colored coat. You're going to make sure you pick your hand up and inspect it once you finish polishing, so you can make sure you don't have anything all over it, and to also make sure you didn't miss any spots. So it's kind of hard to see the edges and things like that. It's not like a regular hand, but we're going to treat this mannequin hand just like a client. Make sure when you're picking it up, you're not bumping the other fingers that you polished already, because it'll mess up your application. Now, if you find yourself seeing that it's streaky, then that means you didn't let it dry long enough. So let it dry a little bit more, because like I said, they're going to be looking at the finished product and the finished application of your polish. Okay. So we're going to let this dry 3 to 5 minutes before we move on to our top coat. I recommend that you keep everything in order, how you're going to use it. So we had like our acetone off to the side, but we had our cleanser here, then our cuticle softener, our cuticle oil, our nail dehydrator, our base coat, our color coat, and our top coat. So just the order you're going to work to help you, because you cannot number anything as far as your steps for State Board. So we've applied our base coat and our 2 color coats, and they have dried for 3 to 5 minutes each. And now we're going to apply our top coat. So we've applied our top coat. We're going to let that dry for 3 to 5 minutes. And once we let that dry, we're going to make sure we remove any polish that's on the skin, and it's good to go here without that. And so the last step that you will do from finishing your manicure, you will turn your hand towards the examiner to indicate that you have finished that segment. And then you will wait for instructions from the examiner. They will either say time has elapsed because you get 20 minutes to perform this manicure, or they will say all candidates have indicated they have finished. So we have completed the manicure part of the second domain for manicure and polish application. And the examiner will say, all candidates have indicated they have completed this section of the examination. Please do nothing until next verbal instructions are given. They'll say, please stop working. Please do nothing until the next verbal instructions are given. So these are the next verbal instructions. You will remove the polish from the nails and properly dispose of supplies used in the previous section of the examination. You'll be expected to follow all client protection, safety, and infection control procedures. You will have 5 minutes to complete this section. You will be informed when you have 2 minutes remaining. Turn the hand towards the examiner to indicate that you have finished. The instructions will be repeated. So then they will repeat the instructions, and once they read the instructions again, they will say, you may begin. So you will remove the polish from the nails and properly dispose of supplies used in the previous section of the examination. You'll be expected to follow all client protection, safety, and infection control procedures. You will have 5 minutes to complete this section. You'll be informed when you have 2 minutes remaining. Turn the hand towards the examiner to indicate you have finished. You may begin. So I'm going to sanitize my hands. I'm going to turn the hand back towards me. I'm going to sanitize my client's hands again. All right, so then I'm going to take me a lint-free wipe and my acetone so I can remove the polish from the nails. Try to take care with this and not be too messy, because you don't want to be transferring polish unnecessarily onto the actual skin of the client on the mannequin hand. So what they'll be looking for is that you have completely removed all the polish from each fingernail. And this red can be hard to remove, okay? You're only going to have 5 minutes to do this, and they're going to tell you when you have 2 minutes remaining. Never panic when they say you have a certain amount of time remaining, okay? Just make sure you're following all infection control and sanitation protocols. You're always going to recap so you don't spill or have fumes and vapors floating all around. Can put that in the trash, sanitize my hands because I touched the trash. And go into my bag and get more wipes. So once I have it all off the nails for the most part, I'm gonna take a clean one, put this in the trash, sanitize my hands. I'm gonna go take a brand new one that doesn't have any type of polish on it and make sure I get the entire skin really well so it doesn't have any traces of that red nail polish, okay? So we got all that polish off the skin. We're gonna put that in the trash, and I'm gonna change my glove because my glove has been punctured. We cannot proceed that way. So I'm gonna take this off and put it in trash, and I'm gonna sanitize my hands. I'm gonna go and get me new gloves, but I'm gonna leave this sanitized, and I'm gonna turn my hand towards the examiner to indicate that I have finished, okay? So we have done domain 1 and domain 2. The first domain was our client preparation for our first client, which was the manicure portion. And so we've done that portion, we've removed the nail polish, and now we're gonna move on to our third domain. Our third domain is going to be the work area and new client preparation and setup of supplies. You're gonna have 10 minutes to complete this section. The instructor will read all, not the instructor, pardon. The examiner will read all of the instructions for you before you start. You will prepare your work area for a new client. You will set up the universal supplies you will use for the remainder of the examination. You will also set up for the following sections of the examination: nail tip application, blending, sculpture nail service. You're going to also set up for removal of sculpture nail, and you will prepare your client for the services. You will be expected to follow all client protection, safety, and infection control procedures. You will have 10 minutes to complete this section. You'll be informed when you have 5 minutes remaining. Do not demonstrate any procedures until the verbal instructions are given and you are instructed to begin. Then you're going to turn the hand towards the examiner to indicate you have finished. The instructions will be repeated. They will repeat the instructions. Once they repeat the instructions, they will say, "You may begin." So for us to begin, what they're going to be paying attention to is that you make sure you sanitize everything appropriately and that you're following all sanitation and infection control procedures, okay? So we're going to set up for a new client. I'm going to sanitize my hands. The first thing I'm going to do is take my towel and I'm going to soak up all of this water out of my finger bowl, okay? So you're going to be throwing your single-use tools and implements into the trash bin, but you will be putting your multi-use implements that you can actually disinfect into your to be disinfected. So I'm going to put this in the trash. Then I'm going to put my finger bowl in the to be disinfectant bag. Then my file, which is single use, and my orange wood pusher, that's going to go in my trash bin. So they're going to be paying attention that you're putting everything in the appropriate bag, okay? Then you're going to take the buffer, that's single use. We're going to put that in the trash bin as well. My nail brush, we're going to put that in there as well. And then we'll take all of our metal implements and put that in the to be disinfected because we can properly clean and sanitize that, okay? So then all of our products will go into the to be disinfected container, but we're going to keep out our nail dehydrator and we're going to keep out our acetone because we'll be using that for the next portion. But our polishes, we can go ahead and put that in the to be disinfected bag. And also our cleanser and our massage mediums can also go in the to be disinfected bag. You do not want to leave your area cluttered, okay? So we're going to put that away, and then I'm going to sanitize my hands, and I'm going to put on a pair of gloves because part of your cleaning this and your disinfecting and setting up for your new client is you're going to have to use your EPA registered disinfectant wipes. to clean off the things that are on your station that are universal supplies. So we're going to sanitize and clean everything on this station. We're going to wipe down all of those bottles and then proceed to set up for our next new service client, which is the nail tip and blending application, and then also the sculpture nail and the removal of the sculpture nail. So you should have, okay. So we're going to take our wipe, put our gloves on as our PPE. So you're going to wipe down everything up here. So first I'm going to wipe down my bag, wipe down my my wipes. Then I'm going to sanitize the area that was in, put that back down, proceed to keep wiping down the table. I'm going to wipe down my water bottle. Everything that's on this table needs to be wiped down to show that you have cleaned and disinfected everything that was already on the station, because this is a new client and you do not want to cause cross-contamination. Well, the cuticle oil and the cuticle softener can also go in a to be disinfected. But we're going to keep our dehydrator out and our acetone. You're even going to wipe down your bag, okay? You're going to be using this same mannequin hand, but you're going to clean that down as well. And you're going to get rid of that towel that you had, so that all of that's going in the trash, okay? Then we're going to sanitize because we touched the trash. Then we're going to go in our bin, and that's good that we sanitize our hands. We're going to go in our storage container bin, and we're going to get out everything that we need for our next new client. So just like we had a bag labeled client 1, this is our second bag labeled client 2, and it has everything that we need for the client. We're going to go ahead and set up us a towel or a paper towel to put our mannequin hand on for our client. And remember, you want to keep everything aseptic. So once I finish setting this up, I will cover everything. So for this section, you need a buffer, you need some monomer, and it has to be odorless, and it has to be an original manufacturer's container and sealed, unused, okay? You need your Dapnin dishes. You also need a primer for the nail. We have our file. We have a nail brush so we can clean off any dirt and debris from us filing. We're going to be sculpting nails, so we're going to also have our sculptor, our paper form. And then you also need an acrylic brush. And we can leave everything out on the table, but anytime we go in this bag, we're going to sanitize our hands again. And we definitely need our nail tip, and we need glue as well. So here's our nail glue. And we have our nail tips. So this is all just client set up, and you have 10 minutes for that. So we're gonna go ahead and set everything up, and then anything that's out, we're gonna just set that, we're gonna close our bag, and then we're gonna set this up aseptically by covering it up with a paper towel, and then we'll be ready to proceed. And once we sit back and or turn our hand towards the examiner, they'll know that we are prepared to move on to the next step. So we're all set. So nextly, the domain is nail tip application and blending. So either the examiner, after you set up for your new client, you have 10 minutes to do that. Either they're going to say, all candidates have indicated they have completed this section of the examination and we will proceed now, or they will say, please stop working. Do not continue to work if time elapsed and you don't have enough time to complete a domain, okay? Just stop working because they will penalize you if you keep on trying to work after they say time has elapsed. So for the nail tip application and blending in the 4th domain, the proctor will read and tell you to choose, the proctor will choose whatever finger they want you to do. So do not zone out, pay attention to whatever finger that they tell you to actually do the nail tip on. You will perform nail tip application and blending. You will apply the nail tip to the pinky finger. You will be expected to follow all client protection, safety, and infection control procedures. You will have 20 minutes to complete this section. You will be informed when you have 10 minutes remaining. Turn the hand towards the examiner to indicate you have finished. The instructions will be repeated. So they will repeat all of those instructions again, but besides saying the instructions will be repeated, they will actually say you may begin. So when we begin, what are they looking for when we do the nail tip? They're gonna make sure that all the supplies are set up in English. You're gonna remove the shine from the natural nail, and that you're gonna fit the nail to the actual nail that you're gonna put it on. You're gonna put the nail tip and fix it to it. So we're gonna be doing the pinky finger. So only do whatever finger that they tell you to do on the state board that the proctor reads off. You're gonna have to prepare the nail tip. So first we're gonna find a nail tip that fits the pinky. This one should fit. We're gonna close our nail tip container. A tip is you can already have several different nail tips. You don't have to have a whole case of it because you won't want to risk dropping them. So you can go ahead when you prep your mannequin hand before you get to state board, you can go ahead and make sure that you have nail tips that fit each finger because you're not going to know which finger the examiner is going to tell you to actually apply it to. I'm going to sanitize my hands because I got rid of my towel here. I don't need my dapping dishes right now. So I'm going to file the surface of the pinky nail because that's the nail that I'm going to be working with. Basically, you're removing the shine from the natural nail. That way, the nail tip would have something to adhere to, okay? Then we're going to brush off the nail to remove any dust and dirt so that it can actually stick. We're going to show that we're checking to see if the size of the tip actually fits the nail, and it does. Great. So they're gonna look and make sure that at least one half of the nail tip is not too covered. So you don't wanna put it too far down the nail plate, okay? So this nail is simulating a natural nail plate of a client. We're gonna put the glue inside the nail tip, okay? We're gonna recap that glue so we don't have any spillage. And then we're going to apply this full well nail tip. Making sure it's not too far down. So when you're pressing down, make sure you're not pushing up with that bobbin finger so it can properly adhere to the nail plate. You can do the rock and hold method and hold it for about 30 seconds. Okay, so we're making sure that it's in place and sticking, okay? Then we're gonna take our nail clippers and we're gonna shorten this length a little bit. Just make sure that your nail glue is sticking and that your nail tip is properly adhered to it before you start cutting, just to make sure it doesn't pop off on you. Okay, so now I'm gonna file this extension edge here, whatever shape you desire. So the next step would be, we got it affixed on here. Just make sure it's uniform and even. And then we will actually use our buffer to smooth it out because you have to blend that in. So it's nail tip application and blending is the domain. Okay, and then you're just gonna rub your finger on the tip to make sure it's blended good. And once it's blended well, that's all you have to do for this step. I'm gonna turn my hand towards the examiner to indicate that I have finished.
Hello, my name is Shay Bellamy, and today I will be performing the State Board Practical Examination, domains 5 through 7, starting with the sculpted nail portion of the exam. So initially, my setup has already been arranged due to Section 4, where you had to already have the prepared nail service for a sculptured nail tip and removal of the sculpted nail. So with that being said, you should have your manufactured label polymer, your manufactured low odor monomer, your dehydrator, acetone, nail primer, nail glue, your sculpting brush, your dapping dishes, and your files, buffers, nail forms, your mannequin hand, gloves, and PPE. So before performing this service, I would like to read to you the directions. Starting with domain 5, sculpted nail. The proctor is going to give the verbal instructions that you will sculpt a nail on, and they will choose a desired finger. I'm going to choose the pointer finger as the finger to do the sculpted service on. So the instructions go as follows. You will sculpt a nail on the pointer finger. You must use a manufacturer sealed low odor, less odor product. You will be expected to follow all client protection, safety, and infection control procedures. You will have 20 minutes to complete this section. You will be informed when you have 10 minutes remaining. You will turn the hand toward the examiner to indicate that you have finished. The instructions will be repeated again, and then you will be advised to begin. So during this portion of the exam, you are being evaluated on how you set up the nail supplies, making sure that all the implements and supplies have been visibly clean. You prepare the nail plate for a sculpted nail. You sculpt the nail to extend the free edge of the assigned finger, and you shape, contour, and finish the sculpted nail. Before beginning this service, the first thing we want to do is sanitize our hands. And then we are going to apply our gloves. Then we are going to sanitize our client's hands. The next step will be to apply the nail form to the nail. Again, we are using the pointer finger. We are going to prep the nail. So right now I am starting with applying the acrylic to the free edge portion to build that bridge and connection between the nail plate and the free edge using this form. We do advise that you take the time to practice before you do this application during the state board. Working with the odorless monomer, you'll find that it is a little looser than the regular monomer, and it may take a little time for you to build that viscosity in your product. So practice makes perfect. And it really does not have to be a really long free edge. It just needs to extend past the fingertip. Okay, now we will wait until the product has polymerized and dried before we take this sticker off and begin to shape and file. In the meantime, you could be cleaning your brush. Okay. So as we were waiting for the polymerization to occur in our sculpted nail, please be mindful that room temperature, or the temperature of the room, does play a part in how fast the polymerization process happens. Um, we are going to check the sound of the acrylic to see or ensure that it has dried properly before removing the sticker or the form. Once we remove the form, then we can go and proceed in shaping and contouring the nail. You're going to, of course, need to file down that inhibition layer. Then I'm going to buff it after I have shaped and sculpted to my desired shape. And the last step is me just wiping the nail down to make sure it's clear and clean of any dust. Let's grab. Dispose of that. And I will be turning the hand towards the examiner when I have completed that process. Okay. So following the completion of the sculpted nail portion, the next step is going to be domain 6. Domain 6 is the removal of the sculpted nail. So the proctor verbal instructions read as follow. You will perform a removal of the sculpted nail. You will be expected to follow all client protection, safety, and infection control procedures. You will have 20 minutes to complete this section. You will be informed when you have 10 minutes remaining. Turn the hand toward the examiner to indicate that you have finished. The instructions would be repeated again for you. So before starting this service, again, we are going to sanitize our hands, sanitize the client's hands, and get the supplies needed for a removal service. You will be needing your cotton as well as some foil to cover the nail, and an orange wood stick and a file. So before actually applying the acetone solution to the cotton and to the nail, I am going to clip the nail a bit to remove a portion of the layer. I'm also going to file some on the nail to help break down some of the liquid and powder solution that is already on there. And then I am going to soak some cotton in some acetone. And apply it directly to the sculpted nail. Let it rest on there. And I'm going to wrap the sculpted nail in foil. I'll let that sit and soak on the nail for a moment before I begin to start to scrape and remove some of the liquid and powder formula on the nail. Okay, I'm going to check to see if some of the product can be removed off by scraping the top layer. It should be a little more gummy than that. So if it's still really, really hard, then I would just apply some more cotton and foil over the nail and let it soak a little longer. So while we're waiting for the nail to continue soaking, I'm just going to explain to you what the examiner is actually looking for during this domain of the exam. You will be evaluated on the following tasks. The sculpted nail removal supplies are labeled in English. Implements and supplies are visibly clean. You are capable of removing the sculpted nail, and you smooth and finish the natural nail for completion. So those are the items the examiner is looking for during this process. I'm going to check to see if there's been a little bit more loosening of the product. And again, I'm going to scrape. After I have scraped, I'm going to go back into filing down the nail. So making sure that you get that nail down to a natural nail shape and size similar to the other 4 fingers will ensure that your examiner can see the difference. Next, I'll buff it to smooth it out. I'm going to dispose of those items, and I'm going to clean the nail plate. So I'll be going to grab a lint-free wipe. And wiping down that finger to make sure it looks presentable, smooth. And I'll turn the hand towards the examiner so that she can evaluate the removal of the sculpted nail. Okay. So the final domain of the practical exam is going to be the blood exposure procedure. This is an individually timed part of the evaluation. You'll be given 5 minutes per candidate to complete this process. The proctor will read the verbal instructions as follows. You will demonstrate the blood exposure procedure. You will imagine the following scenario during a service you have sustained, that you have sustained a minor cut to your index finger. The injury is such that you can continue with the service. Your work area or client has not been contaminated. You are expected to demonstrate the proper procedure for a blood exposure. You will be expected to follow all client protection, safety, and infection control procedures. You will have 5 minutes to complete this section. You will be informed when you have 2 minutes remaining. Step back and indicate that you have finished. So during this portion of the examination, you are going to be evaluated on the following tasks. Your blood exposure supplies are labeled in English. You remove all materials from the first aid kit. Supplies and materials are visibly clean. Cleans injured area with antiseptic. Covers with dressing that is absorbent and secured. Disposes of all contaminated supplies. Candidate protects injury with a glove or finger cot. So essentially, your first aid kit and your blood exposure kit will be located in your universal section. It should be labeled as such, blood exposure procedure. And I am going to cover my client's area so that I'm not going to contaminate her. We're going to say that the injury is on the index finger as the instructions follow. So I am going to go in and first sanitize my hands. Okay, so I am going to apply a glove to the hand that I'm going to use to dress my injury or minor cut. I'm going to enter into my first aid kit, and I am going to reach and get a Band-Aid and an antiseptic wipe. I am first going to wipe off my cut. And I'm going to dispose of the items that I used to clean my cut with into the blood exposure bag. Remove the Band-Aid. I'm applying the Band-Aid to the finger, and once I have done that, I am going to cover that area with a glove. Sanitize my hands. Make sure everything has been put up. And the blood exposure bag has been closed. Now, to remove this blood exposure kit or this injury from my hand, I would essentially sanitize my hands again. Grab another pair of gloves. Remove the gloves and the Band-Aid. This is all going to be applied into the blood exposure bag again. Sanitize my hands. And apply a fresh pair of gloves to prepare yourself for the next nail service. This blood exposure bag will be disposed into the trash. And that will complete the domain 7 of the blood exposure procedure. Okay. So the final portion of this examination is going to be the candidate cleanup and final summary. The verbal instructions will be given by the proctor as follows. All examiners have indicated that they have completed their assessment. Make sure that all kit supplies and disposable materials are taken with you. This concludes the National Interstate Council of State Board of Cosmetology National Nail Technology Practical Examination. Thank you for your participation. At this time, you are going to still make sure that you are disposing of all of your materials and tools in the proper areas. All disposable things belong in trash. All things that need to be disinfected will go into the disinfectant bin. We are going to soak up the rest of this monomer with a paper towel. And dispose of the towel in the trash. The polymer powder will be applied in the trash. And your DAP and dishes can go into your disinfected bag. Your brush needs to be disinfected. We'll place that in the to be disinfected bag. This is trash. Your universal kit will need to be placed back into your bin with the rest of your supplies. No?
Nothing ever goes back in the bin once you take it out. So even the universal supplies, that'll go into like all that.
Oh, okay. Your hand will go into the disinfected to be disinfected. All the products that we use today will go into the disinfected to be disinfected bag. We will wipe down the surface area with the EPA disinfectant wipe. And this will be placed in the trash. Okay, and that will conclude the exam, the practical exam. Thank you.